Hi, my name is Ken Asserson. I wrote the Microbiome prescription website. This is the part 3 of a introduction to using the site or microbiome. And this session I want to look at one thing only, which is symptoms, especially because a whole bunch of new features were added at the request of a friend in Australia who asked for new features. So what we have is, once you have uploaded samples, if you go to symptoms, you'll see all sorts of things. Usually a good start point is to enter the symptoms. And if I go there and enter symptoms, I have some already entered there. However, if I go over to a different sample, it will say absolutely nothing. When you first come onto the site and hit after uploading a sample and you go to symptom, you will see nothing there. And actually, why you have nothing there is nothing is marked with a star. A star means it has been checked. So I could go in, remove that, and now everything shows up. We have 486 possible entries. The idea is to simplify the entry by simply searching over these 486 items by the word you are accustomed to using. For example, let's type it. Start dying, something like diarrhea or there we have. And as you see, as you type, the things automatically comes, and you have diarrhea general, or you have two subtypes of it. You could well be correct, as in you have both of those there, and that could be the case. Actually, correction. That did not make sense, taking those to constipation and diarrhea, but not explosives. And we can go on and look at something like Sojourn's eye. And there, in general, I've tried having multiple descriptions of the same thing, sometimes the medical, sometimes the common language version of the same thing. So we go there, and now if I want to see what have I selected, I just do a star here. Oops. Okay. I'll click a star, and now it will reload, and the ones I've selected are now shown up there as check marks once I've done a update. So that's the basic way of entering. However, there are some faster ways of entering. For example, if I go over here under symptoms, there's a quick symptoms addition. And this one is a little bit of a backdoor trick. And what we do is we go and we calculate out the probability of certain conditions being there. Doesn't mean you have them, but it means that these are likely symptoms you may have. And you can go down, and some things, for example, African, I'm definitely not African. However, that often may show up because we have a very small set of characteristics for Africa, and we haven't gone to the point of being able to differentiate. So something showing up on the list doesn't necessarily imply that great a significance at the moment, without looking at exactly how big the sample size is. But that's a definite one. But for example, go down here and say, okay, keto diet, high functioning autism, amalgam films, and let me see, I'll mark that off. The ones which are actually reasonably good description of me, which I actually do have. So now all I have to do is click there, add. Notice we have keto diet here. When I click add, it disappears. And why does it disappear? Because it's now part of symptoms. So what will be shown are items which are not in our current selected list of symptoms. So it's just simply a way of quickly saying, okay, wait a minute, these are things that could be, does any of them match? Or yes, they do. Yes, yes, yes. Some, that one there. Other ones may not apply, and often that's because we have a very small sample size, so our accuracy is lousy. So we go there. Okay, now let's go back to the 16 samples page again. So we have entering symptoms, the quick symptoms edition. We have added a new page called symptom management. Symptom management shows you all your samples and how many symptoms are in each one of the samples. And what sometimes happens, or what some people do, is they will get a sample from, for example, Ubiome and process it through Tribe or through Ubiome site. So you end up with 3 sets of analysis online. Each analysis is different, and that comes out of the fact that we have no standardization between labs on which bacteria they detect and which they don't detect. And it's nice if we can get the same set of symptoms for each one in the lab, and that you can do it very easy now. For example, we have the very first one, 1116, has none there. So what I go over here, and I'll go down and say, okay, where do I have it? I have it for Ubiome. I have entered it, so I'll go down to Ubiome right there. Click copy. Voila! 23 symptoms are now copied across. Simple as that. No hassles, no whatever. And then there's other things. I'll go down and I take look, say, wait a minute, I've been doing these, just being copy and pasting from one to the other. So I'm just going to actually get rid of all the symptoms. They're gone. Now, if I do something like 83 here and I go over to this one here and I say copy. Notice we have 83 now. We have 86. 3 of the symptoms, 3 of what was 43 symptoms weren't already in the list. Now they are added. Nice, simple, clean process. Okay, so you can enter symptoms. You can copy over symptoms from prior samples. You can remove all of them when you realize you have done a follow-up or you're going pro forma and giving the same symptoms even though your symptoms for the sample was different. Last but more importantly, we have pending symptoms. Pending symptoms shows up and just means these are symptoms we haven't got a lab back. So when you do a lab, you enter your symptoms. And now they are going to be waiting there for whenever you do it. How do you enter them? Well, you could copy over, but in actual reality, you really want to go over to 16 samples, go to any one of them and do quick symptoms edition. Will not work for pending because there's nothing to infer your symptom is from. There's no bacteria. So it has to go into enter symptoms, go up here, and if you go to the very top, pending samples, and you got nothing there. So you can go and put in something like COVID, mark that down, update. I could go in and try something like flu, nothing there. I probably am going to be entering vaccinations as things. If you had a vaccination in the last 4 weeks, just to see if there's pattern. Again, I don't expect anything to show up immediately because we don't have the sample size. Okay, so that's basically it. So now I have a pending samples here. I'll go and I'll mark through like symptoms and do an update. And we have things there. If we go back to the symptom management, pending samples, we have 2. So they are waiting there for when a sample comes in, and when a sample comes in, the sample will be loaded there, and you will find over here, you will find at the very top pending samples, in which case new sample comes in, you just click here and you do a copy across, and voila, it's there. And I'm going to clean house because the data, bogus data, will corrupt the analysis. Now, why you want the symptoms in it? Because symptoms has a stronger association to bacteria than diagnosis. The typical diagnosis will have multiple symptoms which may or may not occur, but you still have the same diagnosis. In other words, you have a big bucket which things are tossed into. When you go symptom by symptom, you are being more explicit, and often a symptom may occur in 6 or 7 different diagnoses, but the symptom may all be caused by the same bacteria shift, which did occur in each one of the 6 or 7 diagnoses, not as all the shifts the same, but just the subset of bacteria which causes headaches or migraines are sitting there. So that's basically it. This is what you should try doing proactively when you do a test. Record the symptoms and then proceed there. The key thing is there are 2 special groups of people which I've added things at the request of people. One is autism. There's a pretty different things from people who are examining the microbiome for autism, saying these are things that they want to have recorded. If you don't have autism or ASD, please don't check them. Because the idea is to focus on it. There is an inherent assumption that with autism, while there may be similarities, there may be some peculiarities. So that's why they want things absolutely explicit. The other thing is okay, 1 second. Okay, right. And things, for example, this is dealing with a fatigue questionnaire. If you have no fatigue, be it chronic fatigue or regular fatigue, or fatigue caused from chemotherapy or something else. If you don't have fatigue, please don't mark it. If you do have fatigue, then please mark it. Again, just as a specialized subset of symptoms, more probably be added over time as user requests the specialization. I don't worry too much about just the specialization because in the back end, I can go and say, okay, abdomen pain, we have 3 different ways of describing abdomen, and I can aggregate them all into abdomen pain as a separate analysis, which would be one with no qualifiers, but we'll use all the information from the specialized subgroups. So that's basically it. Please remember to do it and try keeping them as accurate. The results are only as accurate as data coming in, and remember often predictions are weak, even though we may have good numbers, because it just are not that many samples in the database. And I'm probably going to be tuning some of those numbers over the next week because I think I see some things which can be improved with them. Okay, so that's it.